Welcome to the webinar. We'll get started here in just a minute. I'm moving Katie over to the panel. She's got some excellent slides. We're going to be talking about vision, health for your vision. So if you know anybody that needs to hear about it, go invite them to the call right now. We're going to get the call started right now. Well, hey, Katie, thanks for putting together this beautiful living room background for my computer today. I appreciate that. I like it. I like it. Hey, you got the same background, huh?
Yeah, we're matching.
You should put your chair in the opposite corner so we're not, Yeah.
Yeah, I'll flip it next time and then we'll have a lounge.
There you go. There you go. Well, thanks for being here again. And I looked over the slides that you put together. Wow, you do an excellent job. And the information that we're going to share with everybody, I just want to say, first thing that I want to say is that the FDA, the Drug Administration, the Federal Drug Administration, and the Federal Trade Commission, FTC here in the United States, have they've changed the way that we can market. They've changed what we can say and that. So we're not going to talk about any products today. On any of these videos from here on out, we're not going to talk about any product, because that way we really can't violate any of their new rules and laws and things like that. So you'll see a little bit different format in the videos that we do. So if you're watching this video with us live today on Facebook or here on Zoom, or if you're watching and recording this, get back to the person that brought you this video, get back to the person that posted it on their social media and ask them, hey, what products do you know of that meet the criteria of what we're going to about talk about, that Katie and I are going to talk about tonight. So that's how we have to do it from now on, is that when you start talking product, it has to be in a private conversation. You can be in a private group. Like I've got some private groups where it's just like the weight loss group that we have, where we're doing weight loss coaching. I can talk about products there because it's a private little group, but we can't do that on a video like this. What do you think of that, Katie? Is that a good way of just really describing what we're allowed to do nowadays?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And I've got the slides here with the first one, just with a little disclaimer, and I think people will get it. And actually the way we're going to be doing it now is how it used to be done back ages ago. I remember in Tom's previous company when they were really, massively big. And so I think this will benefit everyone. And I think we'll learn a lot more as well, which I'm really excited about, because you and I love learning about this stuff. And I know that a lot of the people that talk to us love learning about, what are things that they can do to improve their health. So with that in mind, I think, it's a really good thing to be making a change for the positive. So let's share my slides here. And yeah, so we're going to be talking about obviously improving eyesight and asking the question, is it actually possible? So
and that's really important, Katie, to do it that way. When you're doing some marketing, ask a question. Ask a question. And we already know the answer. The answer is yes, it is possible. But you ask those questions because now you're not saying, hey, we can improve your eyesight. We're asking the question. So when you're doing marketing, this is a tip for anybody. I remember years ago, there used to be some marketing in a magazine, and it was by a skincare company. And they said they had a really good skincare, and their advertisement said better than Botox. Well, the Botox company sued them. And so then they came back and they still had the same ad. It said better than Botox. They didn't learn anything, right, Katie? But you know what they did different?
They put a question mark. They
put a question mark at the end of it. Said better than Botox. And because it was a question, they weren't making a statement. And now it didn't violate any of the FTC rules. So anyhow, improving your eyesight, is it possible?
Yeah. So as Kurt said, so this is an informational session, health informational session. We're not claiming to treat, diagnose, prevent, cure any disease or illness. So, always consult your healthcare provider before, even perhaps taking supplements, especially if you're unwell, and individual results may vary. So today we're going to be talking about what you can do, lifestyle changes, and we're going to then talk about the ingredients, and Kurt's going to go into some research and studies on that. So this first slide, I guess I'll go through the lifestyle stuff, Kurt, and then I'll hand over to you for the ingredients, because you do such a great job at that. So with, eyesight and taking care of your eyes, we're going to talk about some of the things you can do to support healthy eyesight. And obviously, the first thing is protecting your eyes at home and at work. In our environment, you can risk getting dust, wood chips, metal fragments, or chemicals into your eyes. And so wearing sunglasses, wearing goggles is a really great thing to do. Actually, I should have brought my goggles. I bought a pair of goggles that are kind of fashion-like sunglasses. They're clear, but they fully kind of enclose the eye. So it does protect you from like wind and, dirt and things like that. So, and they can be quite trendy. Anyway, so I bought a pair of those recently. I found them to be quite good. But this bit here reminds me of, I remember I had a friend who was at the gym and they were lifting weights, Kurt, and when they put the two weights together, they were those kind of old, really heavy metal weights. I guess they're made out of steel, I guess. And then they clanked together. And when they clanked together, bits of fragment of steel flew into his eye. And he had to go and get, those bits of fragment taken out of the eye. So a lot of injuries that happen to the eye is things getting in them. So we want to be mindful of that, especially if you're going walking or if you're outside, somebody's like mowing the lawn. Definitely want to have some sunglasses on then. And just generally, like if you're out and about, just protecting your eyes from UV light, because you're accelerating the deterioration of the eyes. So they say thousands of eye accidents happen each day and about 90% of them are preventable with the use of appropriate safety wear. So that's from preventblindness.org. Let me come back in here. Then the next slide is ultraviolet light. So I just mentioned the importance of wearing sunglasses, and also, a hat too, because that further provides additional protection against your eyes, because you're not getting the sunlight, coming down from the top. UV light can lead to cataracts and eye disease and age-related macular degeneration. I was really surprised to find out how damaging UV light is. If you really want to slow down the acceleration of the skin on your face and your eyes, you want to do everything you can to protect from the UV rays, because they really, break down healthy tissue, especially when you get, too much of it. Yes, you need some sunlight for your vitamin D, but you definitely can go overboard. So there's also blue light from computers and phones. And look, that does have some, negative effect on the eyes. But what they're saying is, like, compared to the risk from aging, smoking, cardiovascular disease, high blood pressure, and being overweight, those are all risk factors to having issues with the eyes. Exposure levels from blue light are negligible in terms of risk factor compared to those things. So I guess we have to just weigh up what's most important. And I guess it's kind of good to highlight that. So that was from the Harvard Health blog. So all the information I'm getting, I'm referencing and telling you where it's coming from. It's coming from medical sites or government health authority sites. So also another issue with eyes is that you can get allergic symptoms with your eyes. So people are often susceptible to, pollen, allergens in the air, dust, fur from animals can trigger irritated eyes. So wearing sunglasses outside. So we often think about wearing sunglasses just to protect against UV light, but actually wearing sunglasses to help stop getting things into the eye is also just as important. So things like pollen and when the wind really picks up and stuff like that. So if you're watching this now and you don't have a good pair of sunglasses that you really like wearing, I highly recommend doing that and having them in your bag or near the door. So every time you go outside, put them on, because you'll be doing yourself a big favor. Also with sitting with screens, obviously staring at screens can be an issue for the eyes. And that mainly is due to lack of blinking. So when you don't blink, when you're staring at the screen, you don't blink as much. And so your eyes can get more dry. And also you can get strain, your eyes can start to strain from staring at the screen. And of course you are getting some, light from blue light from the screens, which is not great either. So you want to have a break and making sure you're sitting well back from the screen. So the next one here is just having regular eye tests. So when was the last time you had an eye test? Because if you're over the age of 40, it's recommended to have an eye test and regularly check your eyes. And it's really good to do this, because then if there is some deterioration or some issues that are popping up, you can take some action to try and manage, mitigate, and correct that. So if you also have diabetes, you're over the age of 60, or if you have a family history of eye conditions. So if your parents had bad eyes, it's in the family, then you definitely even more want to go check your eyes. So ask an optometrist about an eye test. And they say that 80% of visual impairment is avoidable, meaning readily treatable and or preventable, according to visionware.org. So serious conditions such as glaucoma, macular degeneration, and other diseases of the eye and retina can be made worse by damage to the eye over time. So taking care of your eyes is not complicated, and it's an easy thing to do. And I must admit, I didn't start taking proper care of my eyes until the last year. So that's really important to note too. So also, it is recommended that children also have an eye examination. I had a friend who didn't enjoy school. They had trouble learning, and they just thought maybe it was because they just weren't suited to that, the school environment. I don't know what they thought, but it was something along those lines. Actually, what it turned out to be is they had problems with their vision from a young age, and they couldn't read properly. And so because they couldn't read, they couldn't take in the information and learn. And so now they were behind in school. And all it was is because they weren't having their eyes checked and getting glasses, because that person was actually, and is actually a highly intelligent person. And it was all came back to not being picked up with eye problems. What about that, Kurt?
Yeah, that exact same thing happened with my youngest boy in first and second grade. Yeah, he was he was so smart that he would memorize the book. And when they said, okay, it's your turn to read, he would pretend he was reading, but it's because he memorized exactly what the book said. And so they didn't catch it.
Well, yeah. So really important thing to be checking on. And of course, if you've got diabetes, you actually are at higher risk of developing some eye conditions. And so it's even more important to have regular eye tests, and that testing your blood sugar levels and your blood pressure, because blood pressure and blood sugar levels impact, eyesight in a considerable way. Do you want to talk a little bit why that is, just to let people know?
Well, I mean, when you talk about blood, as far as like the blood pressure, there's little tiny blood vessels that go to the eyes, the little tiny arteries. And what happens is that those are going to stretch out first. And then what ends up happening is that as you stretch the blood vessels, of course, you've heard me say this before, the body responds by that stretching by producing cholesterol. Cholesterol kind of patches and it keeps the arteries from tearing. And eventually it's going to plug those little tiny arteries so you can have, like a friend of mine, he's type 1 diabetic. He actually had a stroke in his eye. So, and he lost vision in his right eye because of it. He said he's got like a little dot of vision that he can see out because of it. But if you're type 2 diabetes, of course, we all have heard of diabetic macular degeneration, which is probably one of the most common forms of blindness. And so, yeah, keeping that blood sugar under control is really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously smoking is not going to help your eyes at all and accelerate any eye conditions, including cataracts, macular degeneration, thyroid eye disease, and general eye irritations, are amplified if you smoke. So, if you're watching this might be a little bit more motivation for you to try and quit smoking, and at the very least, cut back. So in summary, from the healthdirect.gov site, foods containing antioxidants are really, really important for eye health. So your green leafy vegetables, your omega fatty acids, tuna, salmon, and vitamins such as C, E, minerals like zinc, selenium, and it says help to prevent macular degeneration. Regular exercise as well is also important there. So now we're going to talk about some ingredients that you can use to support vision. And as it said here on the previous slide about how these vitamins can actually help prevent macular degeneration. So, of course, the best source of vitamins first and foremost is your food. So you want to eat a really good balanced diet. And now we're going to go on to talking about actual ingredients, vitamins, minerals, and herbs. So, Kurt, I'll hand this one over to you, and then I'll click the button for you.
That sounds great. Well, great information. And Katie, I grew up in my dad had a blacksmith shop, and so I grew up with grinders and welders and all that kind of stuff. And I remember at an early age going to the doctor and having metal scraped out of my eyes because it stuff, and so I ended up having to wear a patch over my eye like a pirate several times, and
Wow.
it sucked, but I had to do it. And so when I got to be probably 25, 30 years old, I already had floaters. I had scars.
Oh,
You could visually see them when you moved your eye. You could see stuff floating across your visual field, and it kind of sucked. But yeah, it was there, and I knew it was from what I did earlier in my life. Not taking care of my eyes and all that. And then welding, of course, you get arc flash, and it's like looking into the sun, except it's right a couple feet away from your eye, so it burns, and I've done it even 3 weeks ago. I had arc flash. You don't get your welding helmet down fast enough, and all of that, and so there's things we do that can cause problems. And of course, like you said, dust and all that stuff too. And then mowing lawn, you don't trim your trees properly and get a stick stuck in your eye, and that can hurt a little bit too.
wow. I didn't know that. Yeah, of course you do welding because of your cars, but having the shield down so that it's not exposing your eyes to that light is pretty important part of that, I imagine.
Oh, it hurts. I mean, I've had it so it hurts so bad that you just basically put a cold washcloth over your face, and you sit there all day, and you don't get anything done because you can't take the cold washcloth off your eyeball.
Wow.
So yeah, not good.
No. So yeah, and what sort of ingredients then do you look at taking to support your eye health?
Well, I mean, the beta carotenes, of course, which are a form of vitamin A. It's one of the things found in vitamin A that helps to rebuild the eyes. We've always heard, eat your carrots, your vitamin A, it helps. And it's one of the four fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. And it helps with the vision. Vitamin C is a water soluble vitamin, and it seems like it helps repair a lot of different things, vitamin C. And then vitamin E, of course, which is a fatty acid, and it's really, really important for keeping the arteries. We were talking about those tiny coronary artery, or not coronaries, but the tiny arteries that go to your eyeballs. You want to keep those open. Zinc, zinc, I think a lot of people don't really understand how zinc works, but zinc is so important in the healing process. So many different things. It's like one of those last steps. If you cut yourself, if you don't have enough zinc in your body's not going to heal that cut up properly, and it's important for so many different things, and for the eyes. And then we talk about the marigold extract, which marigold is a type of a flower, but there's an extract in there, and it contains this lutein. Lutein is a vitamin that they found that's really good with the eyes, and the zeaxanthins. That's how you pronounce that. A lot of people don't know how to say that. Zeaxanthin. It took me a long time to figure out how to say xanthin, but
Right.
and there's a lot of different kinds of xanthins found in different, mainly in flowers. And you look at where it comes from.
Wow.
It comes from the dark purples and the dark blue flowers,
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
and they found that helps with vision health and cataracts and macular degeneration. You bet.
Well, that's pretty amazing because,
No, you cut out.
whoops, I hit the mute button accidentally. Flowers have such brilliant, colors. They're so pretty to look at. And you've got the bright orange and the bright yellow flowers, bright purple, as you said. And it's those colors and the ingredient that comes from the flowers that's really good for our eyes. So that's pretty amazing.
You bet. So then, you look at algae. There's so many things that I've seen algae is so healthy for. Different kinds of algae are healthy for all sorts of things. Well, here's a another xanthan, astaxanthin. It's a powerful antioxidant. It comes from algae, from the sea, and it's got carotenoids, it's got the proteins, it's got the fatty acids that help with the vision. Bilberry fruit, it's a treatment for retinopathy, right? Where you have the retina, the part of the eye that basically is kind of one of the final parts of the vision where everything comes to. And then you have the anthocyanins, cyanide. We've heard of cyanide, and here's which is part of vitamin B12. It comes from vitamin B12, and it comes from different kinds of fruits and nuts and things like that, and it helps protect the retina. But bilberry has protective effects with the macular degeneration, glaucoma, the cataracts, and then we have another herb. It's called eye bright. And I mean, if it's got the word eye in the name of the extract, obviously it's good for the eyes. But for things with with the styes and which is an infection, you got like it's like having a cold in your eye, redness, blepharitis, dry eyes, allergies, conjunctivitis. So it helps out with a lot of those different kinds of minor irritants. Your eyes are dry, eye bright seems to help.
Yeah, amazing. And so we're going to talk about these two ingredients because they're really important. I think you've kind of covered most of the stuff said on here. So is there anything on here that we haven't already mentioned? I'll go to the next one.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, look at what it says there on almost on the bottom there, the second to last paragraph. It's found in the bright, brilliant colors, and it helps out with a lot of things with the eyes.
And yeah, it says here that it's a superior eye support. It has the ability to cross the blood-brain eye barrier. You
bet. I had a patient of mine that had a condition I'd never heard of before, retinosa pigmentosus. For those of you that are on the call or you listen to this, go look that up. But it's called retinosa pigmentosus, and basically it's a disease of the eye that almost always leads to blindness. And so this young man, he had just graduated from college, and he went to the eye doctor to get new glasses. And the eye doctor said, "Oh my God, you got a disease here. It's called retinosa pigmentosus." And so this person went and looked it up, and right away the first thing he saw was that it causes blindness. That it's almost 100% of the time it will cause blindness. And so he came to me. He's like, "Is there anything that I can do?" And so I started looking through different things, and I found that it was kind of related to a couple of different things. One of the things that they suspect that it was related to Lyme disease, and so I recommended a couple of different things that we use for helping people with Lyme disease. Again, we can't say cure, treat, or anything, but I'll just say we use it to support people that have that, and then I put him on some zeaxanthins and some astaxanthins, and you know what? It was 2 years later. He told me, he said that his vision was back to normal, and the doctors told him then after 2 years, they said, "Oh, we must have made a mistake. You didn't have it in the first place." I'm thinking, really? You help somebody get over something, and then of course, "Oh, you must not have had it. We made a mistake. We misdiagnosed you."
Wow. So yeah, so it goes on to talk about the importance of being found in other tissues as well. And I think you've covered most of that. It says it gives zeaxanthin is what gives macular tissue in the eye its characteristic yellow color. So I think we've covered those quite well. So what are the differences? So the paragraph at the end of this slide is quite interesting. Kurt, do you want to share that?
Yeah. So first thing I'm going to say is that we've heard of lutein, right? You've all heard of lutein. There's you know, the most popular vitamin, at least in North America, the most popular over-the-counter multivitamin. I remember years ago, it was probably 20 years ago, they came out with they called it their new silver formula, the new silver formula, and they charged an extra $5. And one of the secret ingredients that they threw in is they threw some lutein in there. Well,
Right.
you know, they put just a little, like they fairy dusted a little bit of lutein in there so that they could say it was in there, but they really didn't put in enough to make any difference at all. You'd have to take a half a bottle a day to get enough lutein from that particular product to actually make a difference. So it's better to buy a vitamin that has the lutein, it has the zeaxanthins, it has the eye bright, and it has all that stuff in it. And you know that they're not just fairy dusting, they're actually putting a therapeutic amount of the actual ingredient in there. I just want to say it because I see these words and I know a lot of people, the first thing they're going to do is they're going to jump on their wall on, you know, I won't say what company, but they're going to jump on there, or they're going to go to their favorite online where you can buy everything and try and buy it there. But the problem with it is that you don't really know how much they putting in there. And so, you know, get a hold of the person that got you this video and just ask them, hey, what would you use? But it's you know, the lutein helps with around the edges of the retina and the rods of the eye, where the zeaxanthins helps more with the center of the retina.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, amazing. Pretty amazing ingredients. So I think we'll go to the studies now because we've got 5 minutes left.
You bet.
So we've brought I've pulled out a few slides here with some studies from different places with the references. So this one's actually from WebMD, and that was on the bilberry extract pertaining to vision. And so you can go and read this particular webpage. The references at the bottom there if you want to have a look. But anyway, it said in recent studies, extracts effects on health, the most compelling evidence is in its reduction of retinal inflammation through animal studies. So that is quite an interesting finding on that particular ingredient. So there's really some great research out there. This one is really interesting. So we talked about the key sort of vitamins at the start there, A, C, E, we were talking about zinc, and we've talked about lutein and zeaxanthin. And so according to the American Ophthalmic Association, you know, they're saying how important these particular nutrients are for eyes. Now, of course, you're saying you can find them first in leafy vegetables, fruits and nuts and other foods. But
yeah,
you know,
just remember, eat your brightly colored fruits and vegetables. You know, the bright purples and the bright greens and the bright yellows and oranges and the reds and the stuff like that, you know, your eyes go to naturally anyhow when you see that stuff, and just think, hey, that's got to be good for the eye because it looks good. It's got a cool color. It's got a, you know, like purple cabbage. It's purple. Come on. And when you see that purple, just think of that weird word, that zeaxanthin, and you know, because that's where you're going to see a lot of your zeaxanthin and your stuff for the eyes is in those dark blues and the dark purples and the dark reds and all that stuff.
Yeah, and of course, that you call them bell peppers in America, we call them capsicums here in Australia, and they come out in, you know, some pretty amazing colors: orange, yellow, green, and red. And so it's really like, you know, a rainbow of colors there.
Yep.
So then, best vitamins for eye health. Again, this one is another article from medicalnewstoday.com, and it talks about what the best vitamins are. And so, you know, it talks about A, C, and E, which we've already touched on, and it touches on B, and just how important these particular vitamins are for eye health. And so, you know, this is medically reviewed by a doctor there, so you can check out all these articles. So, you know, really a lot of great research, isn't there, on supporting the eyes in that way?
You bet. Yeah, I mean, look at this. That was 6 years ago. They published a study. You know, the zeaxanthins and the lutein and the mesozeaxanthins, and you know, come on.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we've got some more. So another great resource that you can go to is PubMed, pubmed.gov, and then you can search in there. And so Again, there's a whole bunch of studies coming up on the ingredients that we've just been talking about, and how they really help to support eye health. So a large body of evidence shows that lutein has several beneficial effects, especially on eye health. In particular, lutein is known to improve or even prevent age-related macular disease, which is leading cause of blindness and vision impairment. So lots and lots of studies on there. So it's good to understand this and have a look for yourself. So I think that was a duplicate slide there. And here we've got nutritional supplementation in the prevention of treatment of glaucoma. This particular one was done in 2022.
Just last summer.
Yeah, what journal is that? That's the, can you read that there?
Survival Ophthalmology.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it just goes on to say in this particular study, oxidative stress is hypothesized to play a role in glaucoma progression, and its reduction is being analyzed as a therapeutic target. Dietary antioxidants play a crucial role in helping provide insight into this hypothesis. So
glaucoma, of course, you know, is when there's extra pressure inside the eyeball pushing out. And,
yeah,
you know, so of course, if it pushes on the eyeball and it stretches the eyeball, it's going to cause you to have, you know, it's gonna stretch that lens. It's gonna stretch the retina. It's gonna stretch all of that stuff inside your eye. And of course, you're not gonna be able to see as good then.
Yeah, that's right. And so obviously, if you've got high blood pressure, that's going to be impacting that as well. That's a problem for that.
Yeah.
All right. So that was kind of there. So in summary, you know, it's important to take care of your eyes every day, help reduce the risk of eye disease. And even you watching this and us talking about it today, Kurt, probably is going to help you and prompt you a little more to take even more care with your eyes.
Katie, yes. Katie, I've known for years that I need to do better on taking care of my eyes, but yet, you know, we get in a hurry and I go, oh, I'm just going to quickly grind this one part down, and boom, that's when a spark flies in my eye.
Yeah, I know. And so, but like most of us, we know what the right thing to do is. We know all this stuff is, but often when we are prompted,
I'm just a guy. We're going to do stupid things. That's why we don't live as long as women. Right.
Okay. Well, okay. Dr. Kurt excluded. For anyone else watching, maybe this is a prompt for you to take extra care, because he's not going to bother. If you want to take extra care of your eyesight, this might be that prompt for you. So, you know, obviously wearing sunglasses, protective eyewear, a hat, really important. You know, eating a healthy diet and exercise is just, you know, critical if you want to maintain good health, and maintaining control of your diabetes, blood glucose, blood pressure and cholesterol levels. So, you know, check in with your healthcare provider and stay on top of that. Obviously smoking, you want to avoid that. So, and then, you know, the last there I've got, you know, you can fill the nutritional gaps and support our healthy eyes with supplementation. So we'll go to the last slide. So this is, the end of our health information session. So you can get back to Dr. Kurt or myself, or get back to the person that shared this information with you if you'd like to know more about anything that we discussed today.
All right. Well, Katie, thanks for being with us. And again, you know, folks, this is our new format. We're not going to talk about different products, anything like that. We're just going to share the information, and it's up to you to, you know, go look for the products and things like that. Katie and I privately, or whoever got you the video, can tell you the products that they like, the products they like to use, you know, in a private one-on-one conversation. And that's the way we have to do it because of the new rules that the FDA and the FTC has come out with. And so make sure and do that. Make sure, if you're interested in taking better care of yourself, get back to the person that got you here.
Great. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you getting on the call, and we look forward to the next topic.
All right. Have a good night. Thanks, Katie.